it is where now we are going to start discussing about it, one property after another. The first one that we are going to consider is called refraction of wave. The first behavior that we have to consider here is called refraction of waves. Refraction of waves is the abrupt change in the wave's propagation direction after striking the interface of the two distinct mediums. Means what? If now the wave is traveling and encounters the change of speed because of the change of medium, we expect that this reflection of wave may happen. Means some of the wave will be transmitted throughout to another new medium, and some of the waves will not be transmitted to another new medium. Means they will be taken back, they will bounce back to form what we call it reflection. They will be reflected. And that is why we say it is a sudden change. It is a sudden change that happens. Because it was now the wave now is moving from point, this is point A to point B. The wave now is moving from point A, then it is moving in this direction. Once it hits or strikes on the another medium, due to the change of medium, some of the wave will be transmitted to another new medium, that is medium B, let's say. And some of the wave will be reflected, means will bounce. Then we will be having two things here. We'll be having an instant wave and also we'll be having reflected wave. Due to the change of medium and due to the fact that the wave, when the wave was traveling from point A to point B and then it strikes on the boundary, it happens that some of the energy will be transmitted to the new medium and some of the energy will bounce back to form what we call it reflected wave. And that is why we say reflection of wave is the abrupt change in the wave's propagation directions after striking the interface of the two distinct mediums. Means we are talking about two different mediums. That is what we mean distinct mediums. Now, when it strikes on the interface of the two different mediums, now refractions of the wave, refraction of wave happens if only there is two different mediums. If now the wave is traveling through two different mediums, we expect refraction of waves. Now that is why we say after striking the surface, the direction of the wave is changed and the wave bounced back is called reflected waves. So refraction of wave is due to the fact that there is two different mediums. Means if now we are just talking about two different mediums, means they have got different properties and they have got different conditions. Now those two different mediums have got two different conditions, and it is where now after striking the surface, the direction of the wave is changed and the wave bounce back is called the reflected waves. Now we are having the reflected wave due to the fact that the wave now is traveling through two different mediums with different velocities. And that is, therefore we say, reflection of waves takes place at the boundary of the medium through which it is traveling, or at any point where there is a change in wave velocity. Now we say reflection is only possible if there is a change of medium, or there is a change of wave velocity. And that is why we say diffraction of wave takes place at the boundary of the medium through which it is traveling. At the boundary means if there is a change of medium, this is medium A and this is medium B. This is medium A and B of different condition. If now the wave is traveling, once it strikes at the boundary, it means that it faces the different medium. Therefore, the speed will change. Automatically, when the speed is changed, we expect two things to happen here at the boundary. This is the boundary between medium B and the medium A. And the wave now is traveling from medium A and then meets with medium B at the boundary between medium A and B. Here, it is where now refraction takes place. Or, the wave now is traveling in the same medium, but immediately there is a change of wave velocity. It is where now you find refraction of waves. Now, refraction of waves is only possible if there is two things. Maybe at the boundary between two medium of different conditions. Or, in the same medium, there is a change of condition that results in a change of velocity. It is where now diffraction of waves takes. And that is why we say diffraction of wave takes place at the boundary of the medium through which it is traveling, or at any point where there is a change in wave velocity. So what is important here is that we are talking about two medium of different conditions. It is where now refraction can happen. And also, if that is not possible, even if they are just traveling in the same medium, but there is a change in velocity, also refraction of wave may happen. This is very important. The same applies to the refraction of light. It is only possible if it meets with a shining object. That is different medium expected to the other one that was coming from. Now consider a transverse wave. Tumeelewa pale? Kwa hiyo pale refraction of wave inatokea tu iwapo kuna kuwepo na vitu viwili. Kwanza lazima kuwepo na mabadiliko ya ile medium ambapo wave inasafiri. Kama kutakuwepo na medium A na B, maana yake ikifika kwenye mpaka kati ya medium A na B, lazima hapa kutakuwepo na mabadiliko ya speed. Yale mabadiliko ya speed ambayo yanatokea katika boundary, kwa sababu wakati haya mawimbi yanasafiri yanafika hapa kwenye mpaka. Yakifika kwenye mpaka, maana yake kuna vitu viwili tofauti. Mpaka huu unatofautisha hii hapa medium A na medium B. Kwa ikifika hapa kutakuwepo na mabadiliko ya speed. Mabadiliko ya speed yatasababisha sasa mawimbi haya yawe reflected. Yakisha kuwa reflected, maana yake ni kwamba sababu ya msingi ya kuwa reflected ni kwa sababu kuna mabadiliko ya medium here. Lakini vile vile haya mawimbi yanaweza akawa yanasafiri kwenye media ile ile, lakini ikatokea ghafla condition ikabadilika kwenye ile media. Maana yake speed itabadilika. Ikibadilika speed, tayari tutatokea tena refraction of wave. Kwa refraction of wave inatokea kwa mambo mawili. Either at the boundary between the two mediums, au mabadiliko ya condition kwenye medium ile ambayo inasababisha velocity badilike ya wave, ambapo tayari kutakuwepo na reflected wave. Kwa ile reflected bounced back wave, the wave bounced back, we call it reflected wave, and the ongoing wave we call it instant wave. And that is why now we have taken the consideration of how we can consider about refraction of wave. Now consider a transverse wave traveling down a stream and encounters a boundary. Means how the wave is reflected depends on the whether the end is fixed or the end is not fixed. Now means the end is free or the end is not free. That is very important to understand. The wave is reflected means the refraction of wave for the string that is tight depends on the whether the end is fixed or not fixed. Kwa ukiconsider string ambayo ni kamba, hapa kamba either kamba pale mwishoni imekazwa au haijakazwa. Kama kamba iko free to move kwenye end points, reflection inakuwa tofauti na kama end point inakuwa not fixed. Kwa hiyo ndio maana nimesema how consider a transverse wave traveling down a string and encounters are bounded. Now, however, how the wave is reflected depends on whether the end is fixed or it is not fixed. Kwa lazima tujue kwamba imekuwa fixed au not fixed. Is it free or not free? Because this is very important. If the end is fixed, the reflected wave will be inverted. But if the terminal end is free, the reflected wave will not be inverted. Now, the wave is inverted. The reflected wave is inverted if the fixed end, if the end is fixed. But if the terminal end is free to move, the reflected wave is not inverted. Means it is upright. It is upright. Now, this is very important to understand. If now you are considering about the string, the transverse wave traveling down the string, we have to consider about whether the end is fixed or not fixed. For the end which is fixed, the wave is inverted. The reflected wave is inverted. But for the wave traveling in a string that end is not fixed, it is reflected wave is not inverted, is upright. And I've given here, this is fixed ends. Now this is a string, and this is the wave, instant wave. And this is the string, and this is the reflected wave. When you look at this wave, because the end is fixed, the reflected wave will be inverted, as you can see. And the instant wave is upright. Now, because the end is fixed, the reflected wave is inverted. But because the end is free to move, the reflected wave is upright. So this is very important to understand. That is why I've said how the wave is reflected depends on the whether the end is fixed or not fixed. Kwa hii ni muhimu uelewe. Kama kamba, unazungumzia kamba, tunaangalia aidha mwisho kule ambapo wave inaelekea pamefungwa, pamekazwa, manake hapajalegea, manake hakana ile freedom. Lakini ikiwa ina freedom, manake hakuna inversion ya instant ya wave, reflected wave. And that is why you can see, we have said here, note, the reflected wave will have the same speed and the wavelength. The wavelength and the speed is the same as the instant wave. Means the reflected wave will be having the same speed and the same wave compared to that of instant wave. However, the reflected wave will have the smaller amplitudes, showing that the wave has lost some energy at the boundary. The amplitudes of the instant wave is greater than the amplitude of the reflected wave. Why is it so? Because the energy has been lost when there was a transmission of instant wave to reflected wave. The reflected wave will have the smaller amplitudes, showing that the wave has lost some energy at the boundary. So, reflection of wave depends on the two things. Whether there is a change of medium or there is a change of speed. It is where now we find what we call it reflection of wave. Reflection of wave means it is sending back of wave as it meets with the boundary. It is the sending back of wave as it meets with the boundary. As you can see here, this is the sending back of wave as it meets with the boundary. And this is the sending back of wave as it meets with the boundary. So, in general, reflection of wave is the sending back of wave as it meets the boundary, or as it enters in different medium, or as there is a change of speed. If there is a change of speed, now reflection is only possible. Reflection of wave is only possible if there is a change of speed. Change of speed, and the secondary at the boundary means if there is a change of medium. That is the change of medium. If it happens there is a change of medium, there must be reflection of light. Reflection of wave. This is all about reflection. Now let us see another example of reflection of waves. Example that verifies that we are just talking about reflection of waves. Consider two loops of different thickness, means they have different densities. Tight end to end means there are just joined together end to end. This is the less dense medium, that is it is a group with less thickness, and then this is more dense medium. The density of this one is greater than the density of this one. And this represents two mediums of different densities. If now the wave is traveling through different mediums, we expect reflection of waves. If now we are expecting reflection of waves, this reflection of waves, it may happen, or it must happen at the boundary of the two different mediums. As I said before, once it reaches at the boundary of two different mediums, there must happen what we call it reflection of waves. But because of their differences in their density, some of the wave will be transmitted to the new medium, and some of the waves will be reflected. So the wave that is transmitted is whether inverted or upwards, and this depends on the propagation of the wave. If the wave is propagated from the less dense medium, the transmitted wave is upwards, and the reflected wave is inverted. But if the wave is propagated from the more dense medium to less dense medium, the transmitted wave will be upwards, and also the reflected wave will be upwards. So this is what we can say: there is reflection of wave and there is transmission of wave as it reaches at the boundary. After the boundary, two things may happen. Some of the waves are reflected, and some of the waves are transmitted. The same applies to here. Some of the waves are reflected, and some of the waves are transmitted. And the transmission of, or reflection of wave, or transmission of wave from the boundary depends on the propagation of the wave. If the wave is propagated from less dense medium to more dense medium, the transmitted wave is not inverted, it's upwards, while the reflected wave is inverted. But if the wave is propagated from the more dense medium to less dense medium, both of the transmitted wave and the reflected wave are not inverted, means they are uplines. So by doing this one, we come to conclusion. Conclusion is that reflection of wave happens or takes place one at the boundary of the two, at the boundary of two different media. Means it happens only if there is a change of medium. And this is possible, as I said, because once there is a change of medium, there is a change of speed. And once there is a change of speed, we expect reflection of wave to happen. And the second thing is, if there is only change of speed, even if there is no change of medium, but at that medium there is a change of conditions. Once there is a change of condition, there must be change of speed. And once there is a change of speed, is what we catch up, what we call it reflection of waves. And that is why you can see here, these are two different mediums. If these are two different mediums, means both of them have the different densities. The difference in their densities gives the difference in their medium. If now there is a difference in their medium, it is where now we expect reflection of waves can happen. And this is the vivid example that may show us that there is a reflection of waves once they meet with a different medium. And this happens at the boundary of the two mediums. You may consider these are two loops, but these are only not two loops. These two loops of different densities represent the two mediums of different densities. Means once the instant wave comes from the more dense medium, the transmitted wave and the reflected wave happen that in such kind that are not inverted. But if now the propagation of the wave comes from the less dense medium to more dense medium, the transmitted wave is uplight, while the reflected wave is inverted. So this is very important for us to understand how this reflection of wave happens. And these are two points that to remember. Reflection of waves is only possible at the boundary of the two different mediums, and also that is the change of medium, and also it is only possible if there is a change of speed, even if there is no change of medium. And this change of speed is only possible if there is a change of conditions of the medium, even if they are the same medium. So that's all about reflection of waves. Next time we are going to discuss about refraction of waves.